You mentioned that you've explored various non clinical roles from health journalism, going to hospital management, finally landing in pharma. What was the journey, the challenges you faced? I know you went to clinical medicine like not too long before you ventured out into all this other stuff. But in medical school, we are mostly never taught about anything other than medicine. So, what were the challenges you faced?
Yeah, so the when I joined Code Blue, it was such a big eye opener because we only know about medicine treating patients, right? So I remember the second day of my job, I had to go to Parliament to meet members of Parliament and to discuss with them about healthcare policies. And I was like, "What is this? Who is this?" Firstly, I didn't know who is who. I probably didn't even know who's the health minister back then. Now I can say it out loud. Yeah, so I was so clueless about the whole policy making and everything. So it was a real eye opener to me because we can't just simply go there and start talking about things that you need to have some kind of knowledge about what is going on. So to sort of I had to look back, do my research on the whole healthcare system in Malaysia, who is responsible for what. And some of the challenges was actually speaking to really big people like your health minister. I used to be in press conferences with health ministers, and even the I think there was once with the opposition leader, which is Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim. So I remember all those. It was very nerve wracking because you have to ask them questions, and sometimes your questions they may not like your questions, right? Because you want to fight for you want to speak on behalf of the people, and it was during the peak of COVID, so people are more than happy to ask so many questions to the government, and they want answers, so we are representing them. So yeah, it was a huge challenge to actually go and ask, speak up to them and ask, like, so why is this done, or so why are you getting this. Yeah, so that was a bit of a reality. It was a huge shock to me to go through that and then to understand the whole policy making and everything. But what helped me was to do a lot of research. I didn't know how to write an article. I have never written an article. So I used to spend a lot of time revising or, sorry, reading up how the foreign health news portals, they write their articles. So I used to, spend a good amount of time reading up, trying to see where I can use my medical knowledge in a sense of what are the gaps here and there, and then try to connect the dots and see where there could have been a potential gap. So I think one of the highlight that I remember, I was also quite always inclined, or I was always interested in this whole methadone clinic concept, so I actually kind of had that curiosity on how with the whole COVID lockdown, how these patients would actually go out and get their methadone. And because they are patients who need to get their methadone, and they may or may not be completely off their drugs or substance abuse, right? So will they then want to go out and be in the roadblocks with police officers there? So all that kind of stories sort of used to go and find out and actually go to the ground and write stories about that. I even managed to interview few of the methadone clinic patients. So those kind of things, these unheard stories, were actually very, very interesting to write about. It kind of opened my eyes to know what a story or what an article could actually impact our healthcare. So I remember also writing an article where there were a few doctors who spoke to me from Sabah where they did not have mask and PPE, and after I wrote the stories, immediately help was sent to them. So, and doctors messaging me, "Oh, thank you for your article." So those kind of things, I realized you can actually impact healthcare in so many different levels, right? It just depends on where you stand. So it's not just because you are out of the hospital, you're not going to make a change to the healthcare system. So that is how it kind of motivated me and inspired me to actually further continue in what I was doing or what my whole adventure was.
Oh, when you mentioned Parliament, just a fun fact. I also managed to get myself into Parliament. Vivek and I, we met the Health Minister,
Mm,
Dr. Zulkifli.
yeah.
Um, it was nerve wracking. I don't think I would know how you feel, but even for me, I wasn't sure what the protocol was. I wasn't sure if I could speak directly to him. Am I
Yeah.
allowed to shake his hand? There was so many questions in my head as well, and
Yeah, and I remember there was once I think my editor in chief said, "Oh, you can ask this member of parliament about it." Then I was like, "Okay, so but how do I ask?" Just text him. So I was like, "Oh, I can just text this person." So suddenly I realized that I have all these people's contact because we can just text them and get their quotes and whatnot. So it was really, really eye opening. Like, wow, oh, this is a whole different ball game. Yeah.
Wow, so you have all the most powerful people in Malaysia's contact in your phone.